Okay, so we're going to take a look at multi-threading in Java. We'll be using 4 classes to see. Right now I have the producer consumer class that has the main method that will be the entry point to the program. We're going to work on the producer and consumer problem. So we'll create a queue class, a consumer class, and a producer class, and they will be implementing the runnable interface. So we will create threads, so that will make it possible to be multi-threaded. Okay, so we'll start off by creating our queue. Okay, so let's go ahead and create queue class. Okay, and they will be either showing or adding to an integer n, and we'll be using a Boolean function here, is set. It will be our flag to kind of our switch between whether the value has been set or not set. Okay, and then we will be using synchronized functions here, and we'll be using show. Okay, this will show the n value, and so while this has not been set, we are going to try to wait. Okay, so have the thread wait. And the reason we're using the try catch block is because this will throw an interruption exception. So we'll need to catch that. If it's possible that I can throw it wait, it's possible that wait can throw an interrupted exception, so we have to catch that. And we'll just simply print out a statement if that happens. Okay. I will say interrupted exception found, or we'll just say caused. Okay. All right. So after that, if everything is going well, we want to just go ahead and print out or show our value. So go ahead and show n. Okay. We will notify the thread that we're done, and we want to return n. Okay. Then here, once that is done, what we want to do, actually let's make it clear so we don't get lost there. End of queue. All right. And this will be end of show. Let's make sure it's a function here. All right, and then we're gonna do the put. So synchronized void. Oh, actually, we'll call it add because we're going to be adding a value to it. So we'll add int n, some value, and then so while it is set, we want to wait, and again we need to do the try. So we want to wait. Okay, we want to catch the exception here, the interrupt exception, IE, and again we'll do a similar statement as before. Exception cost. Okay. Now if this goes well, what we want to do here is we want to say this dot n is equal to the past in n, and we want to is set. It's going to be equal to true because it has been set, and we want to print that out. So we'll say add, and we'll say n. All All right. And we'll notify that we're complete. Okay. So that will be the end of the add function. All right. So I think that finishes up our queue. All right. Let's move this down a little bit for now. Okay. And now we're going to create our producer class, and so our producer implements Runnable. So we're going to do that in the same file. All of these classes are in the same file, just for readability. Otherwise, we would have them in different Java files. Okay, let's go ahead and create our producer class. Okay, so producer is going to have a queue. We'll just call it queue. And we're going to have a thread called thread. All right, and then we're going to create the constructor. All right, we're going to pass in a queue type here, queue. And we're going to do this queue is equal to queue. All right. We'll use the same name since we're using this keyword. Just here we go. And all right. So we'll end constructor, and then we'll call this end of producer. All right. So just some notes just for us, so we can visually see where we are in the code. Okay. So we've got that. We got the queue here. Oh, we've also have to initialize the thread. So thread is going to be equal to new thread, and we're going to pass in this, and we're going to call it producer. Okay, and then again here we need to implement Runnable. Okay, which is fine. That just means that we need to override the run method. So we'll do that next. After constructor, let's not forget our semicolon. Okay. All right. So let's do public. Actually, I think we could do add override, and then we'll do public void run. All right. And then we're gonna do int I is equal to 0, and then so while true, right? So we want the forever loop. We want to add to the queue. We're going to add 1 to I. All right. So we want to constantly be running, iterating through, and adding 1 as the thread runs. Okay. So let's just end this here with end of run. All right. Let's clean up our code a little bit. All right, so next we'll work on the producer class. All right, so it'll be similar to producer. So class consumer implements runnable interface. Okay, we're going to create the queue. We're going to give it a thread called thread, and we're going to build a constructor here, consumer. We're going to pass in the queue. Oops. We're going to pass in the queue. Okay, so this dot queue is going to equal to queue, and thread is equal to new thread, and again we're going to pass in this context, and we'll call it consumer. All right. So that will be the end of constructor. All right, and we want to override our public void run method here. Okay, so again, a forever loop, so while true, we want to run as long as the thread is alive, so we want to go ahead and we're going to show, so we want the queue dot to show our end value. All right, let's go ahead and just comment some here. End of run function, end of consumer. All right, just for commenting here, and producer consumer, okay, end of main. Okay, so now we got those. Okay, now we've got our queue. So our queue has two synchronized functions, show and add. They throw an interrupted exception, wait throws an interrupted exception, so we catch those with the try and catch blocks. Okay, it will either, and the notify will let the threads know that it's ready to be accessed. So let's go ahead and go into our main method here, and we're going to create our queue. Okay, this will be a new queue. We are going to create a producer object. Let's call it producer equals new producer, and we're going to pass in the queue that we are. Okay, and then we got a consumer, consumer, new consumer, and that will also consume the queue. Alright, and then what we want to do here is we want to start the threads. Alright, so we're going to have producer start off dot its thread dot start. Alright, so start will cause the run function to execute, and then consumer, same thing, we're going to access its thread, and start, we want to start its run function. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. Go ahead and run it in our terminal here and see what we get. It should be in order. Okay. Okay, so just realize that forgot to set our flag in our producer. So let's see here, right here. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to set this to false here. So is set equal to false. All right, let's see if we forgot our other flag. It's true. Okay, let's take a look now and run it. Okay, that's going pretty fast. Let's go ahead and terminate with Control C. Alright, you can see it going really fast. So, oh man, okay. Let's run it again and try to get it in the smaller numbers here. Let's go ahead and run it and terminate almost immediately. we can see that it's adding continuously by one. It's going too fast for me to catch the beginning numbers, but it's just incrementing by one as it goes through. And it will do this forever until we hit Control C, because we have true. We run true forever. So, but that's basically the consumer and producer-consumer problem. Okay. So let's take a quick look at the code again, and then that will be all.